Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mr. Green again, and we're going to be recording another lesson on Algebra 2. Oh my, that is an interesting parking example there. I don't think that's what we mean when we talk about perpendicular parking, but let's think about it for just a little bit here. Okay? So today we're going to take up 2.03, writing equations of lines. So we're going to be given a point, or be given the slope, or 2 points, or something like that, and we're going to have to write the equation for a line. Oh my. And then, given the equations of two lines, determine whether the graphs are parallel or perpendicular or neither. That's why I had perpendicular cars there. Okay, well, maybe that'll make a little bit more sense when we get down to it. So, find a linear equation given the slope of and the y-intercept. If they give you the slope, the really easy thing to do is to write the equation in slope-intercept form. Okay? Especially since they're giving you the slope and intercept. What we're going to do is we're going to say y equals mx plus b. Okay? Well, what's m? M is the slope. Well, if they gave me the slope, all I got to do is stick it right in here. Okay? So that'd be y equals negative 4 over 5x plus b. And they're giving me the intercept here, 8. I'm going to stick that in for the b. So it's y equals negative 4 over 5 plus 8. That's simple. Okay? What we talked about last time was then taking this one and turning it into point slope or turning it into a standard form. You could use that information to adjust this if you needed to. Okay? Let's look at another problem here. It says find the equation of a line that has a slope of 3 and passes through the point. If they give you 1 point and the slope, then what I'm going to start off with is the point slope format. And I'm going to say y minus, what's a negative 2? So I'm going to say minus a negative 2 is equal to slope 3 times x minus 1, parenthesis. But that's not what they wanted. They wanted it in slope-intercept form. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to turn this into slope-intercept. Remember how I did that last time? I used my distributive property here to begin with. And I'm going to get that y, that's plus 2, is equal to 3x minus 3. X minus 3. Now I'm going to say, to get this into slope-intercept, I got to get rid of this one. So I'm going to say y is equal to 3x minus 5. Why? Because I subtracted 2. 3 minus 2 is negative 5. And I've got it in slope-intercept form. So I took what they gave me, the point and the slope, and I wrote it in point slope, and then converted it to slope-intercept. Easily done. Okay. Find it given 2 points. Well, if I got 2 points, the first thing I'm going to think of is slope. Okay? There's a formula for slope, and that's y2 minus y1 divided by x2 minus x1. Rise over run. Y's over x's. So I'm going to say 2 minus 1. Where did I get the 2? 2 came from right there. 1 came from right there. 2 minus 1 divided by 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2. Well, this turns out to be a 1 over negative 1. Well, 1 divided by 1 is 1, so this must have a slope of negative 1. Well, that's easy enough. Now I can write it in point-slope form. Does it matter which point I use? Not at all. I'm going to say y minus 1 is equal to negative 1 times x minus 2. Okay? So I've got an equation of a line, but it's not in standard form like they wanted it. Oh, that means I got to go through and put it into standard form. So that's minus x plus 2 is equal to y minus 1. I'm going to add the x to both sides, and I'm going to get x plus y minus 1 equals 2. Add the 1 to both sides, and I'll get x plus y equals 3. Well, Mr. Green, you said it didn't matter which point I used. Could I use the other one? Let's try that. That would be y minus 2 is equal to negative 1 over times x minus 1. Same thing, distributive property here, so that I get this out of the way. Y minus 2 is equal to negative x plus 1. Add the x to both sides. X plus y minus 2 is equal to 1. Add the 2 to both sides. X plus y equals 3. I got the same answer, didn't I? So it didn't matter which point I used to start off with the point slope form. Getting it into standard form wound up with the same answer. Okay? So the trick here, find the slope and then put it in point slope form going forward. Okay? How do I tell if two lines are parallel? They have equal slopes. This is something we were talking about the other day when we were showing you that I could translate them. Well, if they have equal slopes, that means they're going to be parallel. They'll never touch each other with equal slopes. How do I determine if they're perpendicular? This is something your math teacher in geometry should have taught you. What you do is you find out if their slopes are opposite reciprocal slopes. What am I talking about there? I'm going to multiply slope 1 times slope 2, and I'm going to see if I get a negative 1. That's what it's talking about right down here. Okay, it took the negative 2/3 times the 3/2, and it got negative 1. You got negative 6 over 6, and that's negative 1. Now, you know what? Here's the easy way to do it. If I'm given a slope of 3 over 2, flip it, 2 over 3, make it negative, negative. This one would be a negative reciprocal of that one. It is the easy way of finding perpendicular lines. Flip it, and then make it negative. It's called a negative reciprocal. They actually say it the other way around. They say an opposite reciprocal there, but it's a negative reciprocal is the mathematical term. Okay? Okay, let's see if these lines are parallel. They don't have them in the same format, Mr. Green. That makes it difficult. Well, you know what? I'm going to take this one here and turn it into slope-intercept form. I'm going to subtract the x from both sides, and I'm going to get y is equal to negative x plus 3. So is negative 1 equal to 3? No, not parallel. Okay? Is negative 1 times 3 equals negative 3? Not perpendicular. Why? Because this is not a negative 1. Okay? Let's go over here and look at this one. Well, it's not in the second one here is not in any of the common forms, but what I can do is I can divide by 2 all the way across, and what I'll get is a y is equal to a negative 3x plus 3. What did I do there? I divided and then also used the commutative property to move it around. Now look, negative 3, parallel. That's how easy they are to do. Okay? Using the properties of parallel or perpendicular lines to find a linear equation. It says find an equation of the line parallel to this one. Okay? And passes through that point right there. Well, you know what? They gave me the slope. And they gave me a point. I'm going to use the point slope formula to begin with. I'm going to say y minus a negative 2 is equal to 3 times x minus 1. And they want it in slope-intercept form, so that means I need to do a couple of things here. First thing I need to do is distributive property, and I'll get y plus 2 equals 3x minus 3. I'm going to subtract the 2 from both sides here, and I'll get y is equal to 3x x minus 5. Hey, that's slope-intercept form right there. There's my slope, there's my intercept, I've got it. I started out taking the point and the slope and using point-slope form, and then converted from point-slope to slope-intercept. Wow, going back and doing the same things we did before, okay? Don't forget to do the homework, okay? Even though you're not turning the homework into me, it's in the reference guide. You know, this is in the course home. It's also in the lesson resources every single time. You should be able to find the homework on page 61 through 64. Please make certain you're doing that homework. I do not care if the dog eats it after it's done. You can do it, and if you can check it out, because in the lesson resources they also have the answers there, the solutions. You can find your answers right there. Check them out. Make certain you're doing them right. If you have any questions about them, bring them to the TOGA session so that we can help you with them. If you want to, bring them to any of the sessions that I'm at, and I will try to see what we can do about working them out. Make certain you're doing the homework before you go take the quizzes, because if you do, you'll do much better on those quizzes. Okay? Anyway, I don't think there's anything else. Oh, yes. When you're contacting me, make certain you give me the course number and what section number in. Say Algebra 2 and you're in section 1, 2, whatever. Say Algebra 2 Honors section number. It helps me find you. If I can locate you, I can answer your questions faster. And that's what life's all about. It's getting that communication happening quickly. Okay? Well, I will talk to you next time.